Good day everyone, this is Idol Kita Yamanta from BSE and major in Social Studies. For today's video, we will tackle about information and communication. But before we go on our discussion, let me first give you our objectives. So our objectives is the students will be able to have a knowledge about information and communication. The students will be able to identify the good communication skills, and the students will be able to demonstrate the proper communication. So, information and communication. When you hear the words information and communication, what comes in your mind? Alright, information is derived as a diverse set of technological tools and resources used to transmit, store, create, share, or exchange information. So information and communication, it is very subutable. It is very understandable, right? Because information and communication, this is where technology involved. Technology tools are involved. Like you are going to create, store messages, or send messages to others, or transmit. That's what we call information and communication. So example for this is software applications and operating systems, web-based information and applications such as distance learning like telephones and other telecommunications, like video equipment and multimedia products that may be distributed on video clips, CDs, or DVDs. These are the examples of information and communication. So what is information and communication skills? So ICT or information and communication skills are abilities that help you understand and operate a wide range of knowledge about technology software. So information and communication skills is where that we understand about technologies or technological software and able to discover the wide range of technology. It can include helping users with tasks and computers such as making video calls, searching on the internet, or using a mobile device like phone or tablet. This is the example in information and communication skills that is wide range about technology software. You can use your tablet or mobile phone. Communication is a process through which an individual can communicate common ideas, views, thoughts, and other members of society. So communication is where we are exchanging information with others. We are exchanging ideas or views about that particular thing, or any thoughts or other concerns about that how we can communicate with others. That's what we call communication. So there are different types of information and communications, and some of these are informal communication. When you say informal communication, this is the type of communication includes all sorts of communications which take place without the structure of formal body of the organization. So informal communications, it is very understandable that there is no other organizations or organized message, or there's no unorganized message about this, because informal is not depending on the formal body structure. So when this is, we can apply also here the barriers, right? Because informal, when we say informal, so it is not formal communication. So there's a tendency that we can interpret wrong interpretation about that particular communication. The next one is formal communication. This is the type of communication which takes place through various official channels within a formal body of the organization. So formal communication, this is where we are using the process of communication. Formal, like we are using like for example making memos, making a visual aids, or making meetings, or making letters. This is what we called a formal communication. when there are types of communication, there are also 8 stages of communication. The first one is the sender. So the sender is the first stage of communication, which through the transmission of information takes place. This is the sender whose main task is to generate the message and ensure that the message will be received by the receiver. So the sender is the main process or the first stage of communication where that he or she will ensure that the message will be received by the receiver and have a reliable information and a good information on that particular communication. So the second one is the official message. This stage is just concerned with the messages which needs to go through the processes of encoding, transmission, and reception. So in this official message, from the word official, this is the main message, which is the this is where the concerned of with the message which needs to go to the process. So official message, so this must be relied to the main process of message, which is you need to like encoding or transmission of the message to the recipient or to the reception. So the third one is encoding. Encoding is the message goes through the process of encoding by the sender. This means that the message is encoded symbolically in forms of words, pictures, gestures, through other important means. So encoding, when it comes encoding, it depends on the message of it is. So in the stage of communication, encoding, the sender want to send a message to the receiver. So we must encode it which is it comes to gestures or pictures or words, but we must encode it so that the receiver could identify or could interpret the message correctly and properly. The fourth one is transmission through choice channel and medium. It refers to the manner in which the encoding of the information takes place. This can also be looked at on as a stage which is a concern with the manner in which the information goes through the process of transmission. So the medium of communication could be a post, telephone, fax, and other many means. So it is important for the sender to choose an appropriate mean for proper reception to take place. So it is important for the sender to whom he want to send the message so that the transmission could identify could identify the channel and the medium of the information that he or she wanted to send to the receiver. Fifth one is decoding and understanding. Is the process through which the receiver convert the message to understand the information which was intended to be communicated. And this stage, decoding and understanding always takes place after encoding. So, decoding and understanding, this is where the receiver received the message which he or she wants to convert the message to be able for his or her to understand the main information to be communicated with her or with him. So, decoding and understanding happens only or takes place after encoding. The sixth one is the receiver and the reception. In that of reception and during this stage, the receiver got the message and this to make proper sense of it. The receiver is also the last member which involved in the chain of encoding, transfer of information, and reception. So in this means the receiver and the reception. So the receiver got the message na. gets the message now and making a proper sense of the message and what information inside the message. So the receiver is also the last. So the last member will be the receiver who will receive the message and could chain the message to be encoding and transfer the information to the reception. The 7 stages of communication is response and feedback. After the reception stage, the receiver sends across a sort of information which depicts that the information has been received and understood by the receiver. The stage of response and feedback is very important as it depicts whether the processes of encoding and receptions have take place properly or next. So, when it comes to response and feedback, this is where the receiver responded, making a response or feedback to the message by the sender. So, the receiver would make a response to send to the sender again because he or she really understand the message, the information of the message, or what would be what the message wanted to convey about communication or to communicate with them. So it depicts only when the receiver wants to have a feedback or response, it depicts that the receiver really understand the process of encoding, and the reception also understand and the main point of the sender to the receiver. So it takes place, it is properly understand. Next stages of communication is any noise. This refers to any sort of disturbance or obstructions which might have taken place throughout the process of communication. For effective communication to take place, it is important for an individual to ensure that no external noise exists in the surroundings of our environment. So any noise, this stage of communication happens only when you are using voice message or when you are using voice message or or gestures. You must ensure that there are no noise to be heard in making an information or sending an information, so that the receiver could greatly understand or vastly understand what you want to convey about that information you wanted to send to the receiver. So in this means any noise. So there must no noise. This is what we call no barriers when it comes to communication, when it's specifically in voice message. So at this moment, we will proceed to the importance of communication. The first one is it provides a strong basis for communication amongst the members of the community or society. Importance of communication. It provides a strong basis. So it is very important that when you are sending information, it must have a strong and reliable sources so that the receiver could fastly understand the main point of your information. One is it allows an individual to fluently work with other members or elements of the society. If you have a good communication, if you have the source of good information, your communicators or the person that you wanted to send could greatly understand and fluently the entire communication of both or the two person is fluently work because the information is well conveyed and well interpreted by the receiver. And it is also important of communication that it helps in boosting self-confidence and morals of individuals. So when you have a good communication, or when you have a basis or a strong basis of information, it boosts the confidence of a person to communicate well, because he or she knows that his information is more strong and more reliable, because the receiver could able to respond well on her message, because both of them are able to transmit or able to exchange a good communication, because they understand and able to interpret the message well. When there are importance of information, there are also barriers of communication. There can be many barriers to effective communication. These barriers can prevent communication or allow for incorrect information to pass through different channels and mediums. Of the barriers are effective communication. The first one is the semantic barriers. These barriers is concerned with all sorts of problems which can take place under the information is being encoded or decoded. These barriers can take place due to the fact faulty words, different interpretations or translations. So when it comes to semantic barriers, this is where the receiver or the barriers can take place due to this where you are using a faulty words, you are using a different interpretation, you are using the unfamiliar gestures or unfamiliar words of communication communicated. This involves, or this may appear when you are using those familiar gestures, non-familiar words. The receiver could interpret it different from your perceptions. Last one is the personal barriers. These are the personal factors of both the sender and the receiver which might hinder the process of effective communication. So personal barriers, if these two person, for example, if these two person have a arguments before they are making the conversation. So if the information is delivered well or interpreted well, or the information is being interpreted or being just the gestures of the sender are well understand, if we see. But if these two have a personal issue, they could not be able to understand the information well because of their emotional or their psychological mental health. Because, like for example, I will not understand that person because I know that this information is suited on me. Like for example, in Bisaya is gichismisan ra ko niya. So in that means that bisan unsa pag just sa tawo sa pag send og message sa receiver, bisan kung kita maglantaw, we could fastly understand. But both of them have personal issue, so that will be hinder for them to not understand the information of each other. To sum up everything I have been stated is that communication is the act of passing information from one person to another through a chosen medium and channel, or any information or any technological tools that we may use in sending information. It is crucial that the communication is quality be good in order for the message to be transmitted properly. There are 8 communication stages: the official message, encoding, transmission via chosen medium or chosen media, decoding and comprehension, following transmission, receiving, react, and and feedback following the reception of a few of those processes. Those are the few processes of communication, and additionally crucial to the life and survival for the entire species of communication. I hope that you learned something about our discussion today, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you will input in your mind all the lessons that I've shared to you. Again, this is Idol Kita Amanta, BSA Ed major in Social Studies, reporting.